Welcome to the second part of my doll head tutorial. You can find the first part from last week in my channel, and we're going to start today with sewing the chest piece. And to do so, you probably have to pluck out a bit of your wool, and it should be about this long. Just take a little bit of the ends and pull it out easily like this. This is about as much as I want to have. Now roll up the tubular gauze and divide your wool down the middle. So basically from ear to ear or parallel to the face. And then you tuck the ends in and pull the gauze over it again. And now you need a piece of tying thread and your doll needle. And what we want to do now is fix the tubular gauze here in the middle with about 3 or 4 stitches. And then tie it together and make a double knot. Now you can just cut the yarn ends off. And this is how it looks now. And now we have these 2 corners here, and we're going to tuck them in again and pin them together. And as you pin them together, you can stuff the corners a bit inwards, so it really gets compact and solid. It should be as tight as the head ball at least. It should look symmetric and evenly rounded now. And now we can sew it up. And for this you need a piece of tying thread and your needle again. And we will close this in a mattress stitch. This means that I now take a small stitch from each side of the tubular gauze and tie a knot. And now I start sewing this up like a zigzag stitch. I take a little bit from one side and a little bit from the other side. And go on like this until the end of the seam. And these can be rough stitches because they won't be visible in the end. Okay, now I have arrived at the other end here, and I let the last stitch hang down a bit so that a loop is created like this. Then I make another small stitch and use the end of the yarn to tie it up with this loop. Now the yarn ends are still hanging out here, and you can simply pull them into the chest with the doll needle. Alright, now my chest part is finished, and next I will tie up the facial proportions. For this you need another doubled up arm-long piece of tying thread, and again we will use the doll maker's knot here. So we put the yarn around the head from the back to the front and intertwine it once at the front. And before you tighten that now, you need to decide where you want your eyeline to be. The deeper you put it, the higher the forehead and the smaller the face will be, and this will make the baby scheme come out more strongly. This means the higher the forehead, the younger the doll will look. And if we put it a little higher like this, the forehead will be shorter and the cheek area will be bigger, and that will make the doll look a little bit older. It's a matter of taste actually, and a matter of style, and different doll makers will always make it differently, but as we're making a baby doll now, I will put it slightly above the middle. Now I tuck this tight, turn the whole thing over, intertwine the yarn again, and now pull really tight. Before I tie a knot, I check again to make sure the eyeline is straight and not skew, and then I can tie my knot here. Okay, so now we need a second piece of tying thread, and this time it should be a bit longer, so maybe about an arm's length and a half. And again, I'm using 2 pieces as one, so I'm putting the yarn doubled. Now we're placing the middle part of this on top of the head and intertwine it under the chin once. Then pull that tight and double check if it's really sitting in the middle of the head, like it should run around the head at about almost ear level. Then you intertwine it on top of the head, tuck really tight, and tie a knot again here. Now this might be a bit bulky here, and I push it to the side a bit like this, so I can see the spot where the 2 threads cross. Because next we will fix this spot here so it can't slip away anymore. Now, if your eyeline is a little bit crooked or a bit tilted, then you can go under it again with a crochet hook. And you just hook it under there, and then you can correct the position a bit up or down. Not too much, because if you do it too much, at some point the cheeks will be of different thicknesses, but 2 or 3 millimeters can be corrected this way. Just drag it up or down a little bit. Good, now you still have a lot of long thread ends hanging here, and I will use one of them to fix the spot where the yarn crosses at the sides of the head. So I take one end that has a loop and I cut it off on one side near the head. And now I put this onto my doll needle. And now I'm stabbing through the top of the head at an angle, so I'm coming out right here next to my crossed yarn at the side. Now I'm inserting the needle on the other side of the cross, diagonally, and pierce through the head so that I come out right next to the cross on the other side. And now I make a stitch across the cross like this, and go back to the other side, and try to come out here on a side where I haven't been before. So I just sewed this way, and now I want to sew this way. And I make the last stitch diagonally over here again. Now I have fixed both sides in an X shape. And next I go back up here to my starting point, pull tight, and tie this together with one of my loose ends that are still hanging here. Okay, now we still have thread hanging from the top of the head here, and we don't need this anymore, so we can just put it on the doll needle and pull it inside the doll's head one after the other. Now I've sewn up all my thread ends. And next I'll take my crochet hook again and hook it under the yarn at the back of the head here. I want to pull it down here to the neckline now. And to do so I keep going back and forth with my hook to make it slide further and further down all the way. And now you can see that we already got a really nice round back of the head. And next we're going to fix the thread under the chin and at the back of the neck. And to do so, I take one of the yarn ends again and put it on my doll needle. It doesn't really matter which one, it just has to be long enough to make some stitches. And now I insert the needle in the neck and come out in the front, right below my tying thread of the chin. And then I go back and insert it right above it. And go back to the neck. And now I can just tie it up with one of the other threads that are still hanging here. Okay, and now I can pull all the ends one after the other into the doll's chest and then just cut them off. Alright, and with this, the doll head is finished. If you liked the video, please leave me a like or subscribe to my channel. I post a new video on doll making every week. Take care, and I hope to see you next week.